Okay, welcome everybody to this episode of the RV Optimizer. So let me state my challenge that we want to try to address today in this video. So a lot of the places I go in the RV tend to be more than a day's drive away. And I'm just not that kind of person who likes to drive 10, 12, 14 hours a day to get to someplace. I want to break up the drive. I want to make it enjoyable to get to where I'm going to go. But I'm looking always for those in between places that I can stay that help make that drive, fun. And so looking for those places that are interesting, that I can look forward to, that I'm going to be stopping at in between my main destinations, obviously safe, but places I can stay for the night. And I ran across this program called Harvest Host. And I'm thinking this could be a cool solution to my challenge of always looking for something other than a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel. Not a tremendous fan of doing that, where you're kind of in a parking lot listening to traffic all night, wondering what's going on outside your RV. So looking for an alternative. So what I wanted to do here today is invite Allison Javardi from Harvest Host. She is the senior manager of brand partnership there, and thought, wow, hopefully we can get some very specific questions answered on, is this a program that we should consider, take advantage of, and perhaps bake into all of our trips going forward, and look at a lot of the different options that are involved with Harvest Host. So first of all, Allison, welcome and thanks for joining the program with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to represent Harvest Host here and tell you all about ways that you can avoid staying in Cracker Barrel and Walmart parking lots.
There you go. I love that. So for those of us who haven't used Harvest Host before, can you give us just a brief overview of what the program entails and how it works?
Yeah, so we actually do market ourselves as that alternative where you can, instead of staying in a crowded parking lot, explore what small towns and communities that you're traveling through might have to offer. So the Harvest Host program is a membership program, and we have about 7,000 locations inside of our network currently. And we invite you to stay at farms, wineries, breweries, museums. We have private property owners. We have all kinds of different experiences for every kind of personality on the road.
Nice, nice. So just to get it, just to be clear, if I pay, because I think this is how this works, I pay which I think is a very small membership fee a year, I can stay at any of those places for free?
Yes, so there are no camping fees when you go to make your reservation. And you can think of it kind of like Airbnb, where you go online, you make your reservation for a certain night. It's all tech focused. But the thing that we do ask is that any of these host locations you stay at, you support the small business. That's why they're here. That's why they're part of our program. They don't pay us to be part of the program. We don't take any of their revenue to be part of the program. We just want to get RVers in their businesses.
Got it. So that makes sense when I think about wineries. I'm in Arizona. I'm close. A lot of my trips are in California. There's a lot of wineries in California that I'd love to potentially use this program for. But how does it work with the other ones when you put farms in there and or breweries? Do they expect some sort of patronage? How does that work on their side? Because I guess I'm looking for what's in it for them. Why do they care that I'm coming to do this?
Yeah, so everyone in the Harvest Host Network does have something to sell. So whether it's going to a museum and exploring what they have to offer, going to a farm and going into their farm store, we have churches in our platform, and you're like, well, churches don't sell anything, but they do have a donation button on their profile page. Every location has its own profile page. So you can go and see what kind of things they do have for sale to see if that's anything that you would be interested in. And then some of the locations actually have a donation button. Our rule is that we ask that you spend at least $20 at each location that you visit. We don't track that in any way, but we do we it's a courtesy contract for us. We are offering this program to you, connecting you with these businesses, giving you somewhere to park in exchange for you just supporting them.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So, if I'm coming in, so let's say I purchased my yearly membership.
Yep.
how do I get ready to go on my first trip or plan my first place? Do you mind showing us what we would expect to see in the application and how we could use that? Because one of the things I understand is there's a lot of cool filters that we could place in there for things that are interesting to me, that I want to see or I don't want to see on the map as options, right?
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and get into Harvest Host here. So the first thing that you're going to do when you land on the Harvest Host page is you're going to need to buy a membership because all of our locations are locked behind the paywall. And the best way to do that is to go to the plans page here at the top. So once you get to the plans page, you can start to see what kind of locations are offered under each of the plans and figure out what makes the most sense for you on your journey. The Harvest Host Classic has everything from wineries, farms, breweries, distilleries, museums, things like that. But then if you wanted to add Boondockers Welcome, that's gonna add on these community locations. Those are over 3,000 other locations on private property of other RVers. So that's not a situation where they're expecting you to purchase something from them. This is someone else's property. But they are there to, if you're a host for Boondockers Welcome, you have a free membership. So it's more of a, kind of a trade in spaces kind of program. Then we have the all access plan. So all access, what that adds to your plan is that you have access to our over 400 golf courses. So if you golf, that's a really great program for you because you wake up before tea time, you wake up before everyone's there, you can get your space. And then we also have our data layer so you can see the maps with cell coverage and weather. And then our dump station locations. That's something that not everyone has been able to view in the past. One of the problems with Harvest Host Classic, which I think right now Harvest Host Classic does actually have the dump stations feature, but in 2023, I think it'll move over to all access only. And what that does is we had a problem with Harvest Host Classic where it's all boondocking and people weren't sure, okay, well, if I'm boondocking, what do I do with my black tank when it's full? How do I know where to go? If I stay here and my black tank fills up, how far am I from the next dump station? So what the dump stations do, it's 7,000 pins on your map, and you're able to see if you're planning your trip where these dump stations are. So I actually have the all access plan. So I'm going to go into my account and show you what that looks like when you're planning your trip. So when you get to your membership dashboard, that's going to show you how many locations you have right there. So under your access, you see how many wineries there are, how many farms there are, how many attractions, how many golf courses, and Boondockers Welcome. Those are the community locations that are available to you. You also have things where you can print your membership card. We offer a ton of discounts for partner companies. I don't know if you are familiar with this, but we do offer things, discounts to places like Goodyear, so tire discounts, solar panels, e-bikes, all kinds of things. Over $1,500 worth of discounts live in that section. So it's a good place to check out if you've never done so. But let's get back to trip planning here. So the way that I like to do it is I like to search by route. So I go to search by route, and right now, I don't really have a trip plan, but I can start dreaming of one very quickly. So if I decided, okay, what I'm going to do is I would like to go from, let's pick Richmond to Tampa. So we'd go from Richmond, Virginia, all the way down to Tampa, Florida. And we're thinking, okay, that's what I want to do. What kind of Harvest Host locations are on the way? Well, first it's going to show you the quickest route to Tampa. That's really great because now you can see which way you should go. And then you can zoom in and say, all right, well, I'm thinking maybe I want to hang out in Savannah for a while. Maybe I have reservations in Savannah. What do they have for Harvest Host locations? That's a really great place to explore. I'm sure they have something really awesome nearby. So you can zoom into that location and see what kind of opportunities there are in Savannah. So Savannah looks like if you wanted to go downtown Savannah, there's a brewery that you could stay at there. So you'd click on that and you can see kind of a thumbnail of the availability. I think right now the availability shows for 3 months out. So you're able to make your reservations 3 months out. Right here for max nights, that's going to be how many nights you can stay there. So all of our Harvest Host locations are 1 night only, but Boondockers Welcome locations, those community locations I was talking about, and those are denoted by a special icon. You can see over here the little house. those are going to have multiple night stays. So you might see up to 4 nights for those community locations. And I'll pull one of those up in a minute. But for this one, if we wanted to stay at the brewery, we click in here and we say, okay, so I'm going to be there on a Wednesday. They're going to be open. That's great. I have a dog, so it's great that they allow pets. I want to get food there. It's checking all my boxes. Parking surfaces pavement. That's really awesome. I'm not so good at driving on the dirt. Um, and then you can zoom into the map, see where it is. You can get the coordinates in case you have a GPS that's RV friendly. These coordinates are a lot better than, putting the address in sometimes. And then you can say, I want to stay there the 14th and the 15th. You click on it, you make your reservation, they approve it in the app, and it's an easy process. So if we were to go back here, you could add this to your route, you could favorite it, and then you can see the little icons at the top. So I want to show you what a community location looks like, just so you have an idea how different that might be. So here's one near Lake Marion here. That's kind of on the route. They're a max 1 night stay, but sometimes if you open these, you'll see, oh, that's actually a museum. If you open these, you'll be able to see. So this is a good one. So they have 5 nights. So if you wanted to stay near the coast, this is a really great option for going Allendale, South Carolina. Never heard of it, but that's a really good place to explore because I've never heard of it. But that's a situation where you could stay for 5 nights, and it's a really great alternative to Walmart parking lots, but B, going to a big campground where you're not really sure of the location. You're not sure what there is to do there. You're meeting these property owners that know the area, that can tell you places to explore, all the places to go. So if you're curious and you want to find out more about an area, this is a really great option.
Very nice. Now, based on the type of destination or host that I'm selecting here, do I know, is there any specific obligation for me once I get there to do? So whether it's a brewery or winery, for example, is that something that I set up during the time or through the text with the owner of the property on when I'm going to get there, and do I meet up with them when I get there, and do I do a tour once I get there? Any insights along those lines?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever made like a reservation with Airbnb, a kind of a situation like that, where once your reservation is confirmed, you get this automatic response that tells you the directions of what you should do when you get there. So it works like that. So our hosts all have a message that comes through after your reservation has been confirmed. They'll tell you where to park, who to contact, if there's a phone number. We have a messaging system inside of our app, so you can have open communication with those hosts once your reservation is confirmed. So if you get lost, you're coming in late, you are curious about a wine tour, you say, I noticed that your wine tours run on Wednesdays. I'm going to be there on a Wednesday. I just want to make sure I have a spot. Those are the kind of communications that you could have inside of our messaging system.
Got it. That makes sense. Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else we should know quickly about using the app? It seems fairly straightforward to me, and which is always good. That if it's intuitive, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I do want to point out here in our preferences, you're able to choose your rig length. So sometimes the larger rigs have a harder time finding a place to stay. So you're actually able to change this toggle to the size of your rig and show only locations that will accommodate your rig. You're actually able to do same day booking. So if you have something fall through last minute, you could toggle that and see anyone that's available to do a same day. So if you have an emergency situation where you're like, I actually need to stop in Jacksonville for the night and it's a last minute situation, you're able to pull that up and see if there are any folks in that. And then you can also say, well, I'm actually not really into farms at all. You can toggle that off and it won't show any farms. So you can really customize your trip with your any needs that you might have, all the way down to, well, is my dog allowed to come with me?
There you go. Very nice. I love that because I think if that's part of your profile, you initially set up your rig size and so forth, and that just follows you around, and this allows you to quickly adjust something, right? So you
Right.
don't have to do this every time.
Right. And you won't need to sift through to make sure that your rig fits. You are able, like I said, when you get in those when you get into those profile pages, you're able to see what kind of things you're parking on. There are all kinds of member reviews. Member submitted photos are really great for trying to figure out if it's a situation where you feel comfortable driving. One of the questions that we ask folks when they leave a review is, tell us about how parking was for you. Did you have any roadblocks, and that's where you find out, well, there's a low hanging tree. So if you have something on top of your rig, maybe it's hard to get in. And those kinds of things are always in the reviews. So you never have to worry about surprises when you get there.
Well, and it's a perfect segue to my next question, which is there any particular method you guys use to vet out your host? Can just anybody be a host on Harvest Host?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty big team dedicated to onboarding hosts. So obviously right now we have about 7,000 locations in our network, and you can't just come in and say, I'm going to be a host for Harvest Host and click a button and you're in. You actually go through an application process. Someone from our team actually calls you. We look at your location on Google Maps. We read your reviews. We make sure that you are a great business because you are representing Harvest Hosts. You are affiliated with Harvest Hosts in this way. So we do make sure that these businesses are legitimate. We make sure that their profiles are up to date. We rely heavily on member reviews, and we have a system where, if someone gets a bunch of negative reviews, they're flagged in our system. This host location will be flagged, and we contact them. We say, what's going on here? You've had a lot of cancellations. You're not responding to people. Do we need to remove you from the program? That kind of thing.
Well, that makes me feel better that there's some policing process,
Yes.
right, that is associated with that. I think that's very cool. So, a couple other questions for you. I know, so you talked about your dump stations. That was somewhat of a recent ad, and you may move it to one of your different membership levels other than the basic one today. But is there anything you can share with us on any future adjustments or changes that you guys may be thinking about adding to the program?
Yeah. So, coming up, we always are thinking of ways to expand our discounts, our discount program. That was on the dashboard. You'd see all those discounts. Those are something we're consistently adding. We're trying to make this membership all inclusive. So you go in and you're like, I want to go to this place, but I need new tires. You can kind of navigate all of that. We're also constantly looking for new locations, new location types. We're looking in new ways to filter out to make things easier for people. The web experience is a little bit different than the app-based experience because those data layers don't actually show on the computer version. But if you go into your app, you're able to see the cell coverage maps, you're able to see the dump station reviews, you're able to do all of these different things. And one of the exciting things that we're trying to do right now, and I think we'll probably roll out at maybe the end of 2023, is we're mirroring our app to our web version. So everything that you'll be able to do in the app, you'll be able to do in our web version, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. And I love the Wi-Fi piece too, because especially if you're on one of these farms or wineries that are out in the middle of nowhere, you want to know if you have Wi-Fi access. So that's a great feature to have.
Certainly, if you're working on the road, if you have children on the road and you're managing school and work, you are not trying to go to a dead spot, and that can be a big roadblock. So that's something that we're trying to solve that problem for everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, I think my last question for you, and then I'll open up for anything that you would like the audience to hear before we end this, is what, from your vantage point, what would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about Harvest Host? So, I'm not going to really join because of this, or I may not rejoin because of this, and I'm sure you hear all kinds of things from your end, and I'm curious if you'd share what you think that may be with the rest of the group, because they may be thinking that right now as well.
Yeah, so there are definitely two heavy hitters in that category.
Okay.
The first one is, I don't drink and I travel with my family as Harvest Host for me. So that misconception is actually a really good one. Our logo is the wine bottle. You think, okay, I'm going to go to these wineries. When I first met with you, you were talking about the wineries and how that made the most sense. But actually, we have more farms in our network than anything else. And especially with families, it's a really great way for kids to get out and stretch their legs and learn things. We have a lot of full-time families that live on the road, and they use Harvest Host actually as a supplemental educational program for schooling. So they go to all the museums, they go to all the farms, they learn all of these really great things. And I think that is the number one misconception with Harvest Host is you have to drink. And if you're like, oh, I want to stay at this winery, but I don't drink, it's also a really great place to, load up on snacks. Maybe they have a restaurant. Every host with a restaurant or food, it's denoted in their host profile. So if you wanted to go to a winery and they had food, you don't need to get wine, just you can get a meal.
Well, that's really good to know. And you're right. I hadn't thought about that one, but I would see that a lot of people could fall in that category.
Yeah. And so the second thing that I think is a misconception is we say self-contained RVs. And a lot of people are like, well, I have a travel trailer, or I have a van, or I have some other kind of something that doesn't fit in this like class A category. And the rule for Harvest Host is there's not an age rule for a rig, first of all. And we ask that you be self-contained. And what that means is you have a way to hold wastewater and you have a way to go to the bathroom inside of your rig. It doesn't have to be factory made into it. You can have a compostable toilet. You can have built-in jug systems for your black water, your gray water. The point behind that is all of these are businesses and they close at the end of the night, and you need to have a way to be able to use the bathroom, make food if you need to, without having to leave your RV. And that's the other misconception, is that you have to have a class A or you have to have this extravagant rig. And it's like, no, you just need to be self-contained.
Got it. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and that answered a lot of the questions that I had about it. And actually, I'm excited. I have not booked anything yet through Harvest Host, but I'm excited to do that and try that. And I feel like I'm in a pretty good part of the country because I'm just outside of Phoenix, and I'm looking to take advantage of a lot of the cool wineries throughout California. And so I have actually one scheduled in Temecula, California, in a couple weeks. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm excited to try that out and experience this for sure. And I hope we answered a lot of questions that our viewers may have around why would I want to do Harvest Host and where does it fit a void or a need for me. And I really do think it's a great way to have those in between stays along your major plans and major destinations, and that's what I'm looking to do with it. So. Alyssa, I can't thank you enough for joining the program today. Any last words you'd want to share with folks before we wind this on up?
I think that we covered everything that I might know about Harvest Host. I could go on for years about Harvest Host, but I'm excited to hear what you think about the program. I'm excited to hear about your experience. I do not hear of bad experiences for people who know how to use the Harvest Host program. If we get people out on the road and they experience Harvest Host even just one time, they're always going to go back because they have such great experiences. Our hosts are so awesome. Everyone's so inviting. That's something that you can see within our team at Harvest Host, but something that we also look for people that represent us on the road. So all these host locations, they operate like our team. We're just so excited for people to be on the road. We're so excited for people to have a good time. And yeah, I'm excited for you to try it out.
Yeah, me too. So Alyssa and the team was nice enough to offer a discount to all of the folks who would like to join. So I'm adding a link in the description section below. If you click on that, it'll take you into Harvest Host, show you the different options, and you'll get to see the discount that's available for you. So hopefully you take advantage of that. And like me, start to take advantage of the new program and a new way to think about your travels as you head from destination to destination. So with that said, we'll sign off. I want to thank everybody for joining. Thanks, Alyssa, for joining us for sure, and for the great insights around how this program works.
Yeah, thank you for having me.